Coming up, the family jewels stolen from a woman as she lay in a hospital bed.
Golden Girl of Glasgow. England's first medal at the Commonwealth Games goes to the Black Country.
And we go back to the classroom for the latest look at life as a head teacher. All that and more at 6. Coming up, Golden Girl of Glasgow. England's first medal at the Commonwealth Games goes to the Black Country. Details next. Hello, welcome to ITV News Central. On the programme tonight, Golden Girl of the Games, England's first medal in Glasgow goes to a Black Country athlete.
Also tonight, the family jewels stolen from the home of a terminally ill woman while she was in hospital.
It's not just about the money, and it's not just about the fact that it was gold. This was history. This was emotion.
Calls to cut speeds on country roads.
New teacher! Got a new teacher!
And the head that's hiring. We're back at school for the latest part of our Head Teachers series.
Good evening. It's great to be able to start tonight's programme with some good news, because an athlete from Oldbury in the Black Country has made history by claiming England's first medal, a gold, in Glasgow at the Commonwealth Games.
Jodie Stimpson missed out on the London Olympics but had a dream start to the women's triathlon at the 20th Games. She claimed her medal after a tense finish. Michael Sibbett reports on her big moment.
Yes, what a start to these games for Team England and the Midlands contingent up here in Glasgow. The first gold going to Jodie Stimpson. Leicester's Lucy Hall was also right in contention up until that 10k run part of the triathlon when she fell away. But it was Jodie that finished right at the top of the podium. She dedicated her win to her friends and family back home in Oldbury. Her emotion was clear for all to see. Arms raised and with a medal around her neck. The first gold of the 20th Commonwealth Games is coming back to the West Midlands with Jodie Stimpson. Anyone who says these games don't matter should look at how much this win means to her. It was a swim, bike ride and run for glory. Lucy Hall from Leicester was expected to be the strongest swimmer in the field, and that's how it went. After the 1500 metre swim, she was at the front of the pack. Jodie not far behind in second. Then onto the bike, the England women working together to break away the leading group from the rest of the field before Lucy Hall went out on her own, knowing the impending 10-kilometre run was her weakest suit. But she was drawn back into the pack as Stimpson took the lead at the transition. With half a kilometre to go, the medals were decided. But as the line approached, there was only one woman in contention for the gold. Michael Sibbett, ITV News, Glasgow.
An incredible win and a delighted Jodie, who dedicated her win to her family and friends. They've been reliving the winning moment with our teams in Glasgow.
Your sister is the Commonwealth champion. Tell me how that feels.
Quite unbelievable, to be honest. It wasn't expected at all, even though she was going into it as favourite with the amount of other girls that are on the line that we know and how good they are. It's unbelievable.
How proud were you to see her cross the finish line first?
I didn't want to watch. I had my daughter on my shoulders and I was looking the opposite way, and it was only when they were telling me in front of me she's going to do it that I actually turned around and saw her across the line. It was fantastic.
You told me on Tuesday she'd do this.
Absolutely, she was in mint condition for this. Been primed by Darren Smith for this race, and she told me she was feeling confident.
Never in doubt. What a fantastic way to kick things off. And stay tuned for plenty more coverage from the Commonwealth Games a little later in the programme.
Now, though, on to the rest of the day's news. And the family of a terminally ill woman whose home was ransacked while she lay in hospital believes she was deliberately targeted because of her poor health.
Burglars stole tens of thousands of pounds of gold and cash from Naseem Mogul's home and vandalised the property. Her son and daughter say sentimental items like photographs have been ruined. Rajiv Popat reports.
Tariq Malik and his sister Nabila Mogul are clearing their mother's house in preparation for her return from hospital. Naseem Mogul is terminally ill with cancer. Just over 2 weeks ago, as she lay in hospital, her home at Wigston in Leicestershire was ransacked. Thieves stole her £50,000 collection of gold jewellery and cash.
It's not just about the money, and it's not just about the fact that it was gold. This was history. This was emotion. This was her heart, in a sense, because it meant so much to her, and they've taken that away.
She could have sold the gold when we were in some really difficult times, and she didn't. She protected that. She made a promise to my grandfather, her father, that she would keep that stuff that's been taken. It's particularly difficult to cope with. Instead of somebody just to come in and just take it, that's not right.
Mrs. Mogul came to England as a refugee from Uganda in the early 1970s.
I want to see that the whole Kampala street is not full of Indians.
President Idi Amin ordered Asians to leave the country within 3 months. She escaped with her 2 sons and daughter. When she arrived in this country, she worked tirelessly in a factory whilst raising her 3 young children on her own. During the burglary, sentimental items were ruined.
One of the things that's probably most upsetting is there's some photographs of my mother from Africa that were destroyed. There's some water got spilled on some of those photographs and they were destroyed. And other sort of, I suppose, keepsakes and bits and pieces were damaged.
The family believe their mother was deliberately targeted.
People knew that somebody that knew that she was in hospital, that they knew that she was vulnerable. They knew that us as children, where certainly recently we've been in the hospital 24 hours a day, we take it in turns and sleep there at night as well.
The family are offering a £5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest or conviction. Mrs. Mogul will return home this evening. The bed has just been delivered from the hospital. And when she does come back, Tariq and Nabila have decided not to tell her about the burglary.
I think at this stage, this would just this would destroy her. I don't think she could take any more hurt, whereas to say anything would be too much for her to bear.
That report by Rajiv Popat. A former magistrate from Warwickshire who smashed his car into the front of a coffee shop, leaving several people seriously injured, has been found guilty of dangerous driving. Alan Marks from Shottery in Stratford-upon-Avon claimed the crash was caused by a mechanical fault. Birmingham Crown Court heard that the 65-year-old mistakenly pressed the car's accelerator rather than the brake and failed to control this car as it careered into a pedestrianised street. Marks was given a 2-year conditional discharge and ordered to pay £1,200 in costs.
Police have confirmed that the body of a woman was found in a burnt-out car in Birmingham. Officers were called to reports of a car fire on Fentham Road in Erdington on Tuesday night. The woman is yet to be identified. Police have been given more time to question a 34-year-old man arrested in connection with the investigation.
More than 200 jobs are to go at the Hovis factory in Leicester, which is due to close. The bakery in Rushmead produces 1 million loaves of bread a week. Union leaders say workers are devastated and shocked. Similar cutbacks took place at other sites back in 2012, including Birmingham. Unions say talks will continue with the company.
The company's still open for options. We had a constructive meeting today. We're looking at all possibilities. Obviously, we'll be calling a meeting with our membership today and next week, so to see what options we can put towards the company to save the business.
And in a statement, Hovis said the proposal is part of the simplification and transformation of the company's bread manufacturing operations, which aims to improve efficiency, quality and, of course, customer service.
A man arrested on suspicion of the double murder of a couple from Solihull has been sectioned under the Mental Health Act. The 23-year-old was arrested earlier this month after emergency services were called to the family's home on Hermitage Road. Pin Chang, who was 58, and his 50-year-old wife, Koi Chang, were both stabbed.
A teenager from Leicester who was left critically injured after being stabbed on a family holiday in Turkey says he owes his life to the quick thinking of a British nurse. During the attack earlier this month, Declan McNulty suffered damage to his stomach, liver and pancreas.
Well, doctors thought his injuries were life-threatening, but after 2 weeks in hospital, he's recovering back at home. A 19-year-old British man has been charged with wounding with intent. Nancy Cole reports.
All smiles for a family holiday photo. But a few days later, Declan McNulty from Braunston Frith in Leicester was in hospital fighting for his life. On a night out in the popular Turkish resort of Marmaris, the 18-year-old was stabbed.
I realised, but I was like compressing it, holding it sort of holding it in, the intestine bit, and then when I sat down, it just all caught up with me. I was going like dizzy from the feet up and hot and warm, and I could just remember this nurse like compressing it, saying I'd be fine, and then hearing her whisper to the police like, oh, his kidney's hanging out and stuff, which I just remember thinking like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Declan's kidney, pancreas and liver were severely damaged in the attack. He lost several pints of blood and was operated on for 10 hours. Doctors told his family his condition was life-threatening.
I can just remember as when I was told, and the next thing that I was being taken into the hospital because I'd just collapsed because of the news that we'd been told. And our heads were just, it was as if it was a massive bubble. Our heads were all fuzzy. We just couldn't comprehend that this was our son that was actually in this situation.
2 weeks on, now back at home, the teenager says he's not yet been able to thank the quick-thinking British nurse who came to his aid. He's been told he'll suffer no long-term damage, but he has to take it easy as his stitches continue to heal.
Well, I got left with 37 stitches, and I think it was 120 on the inside, so it's a constant reminder now of what can happen when you go out, when you think it's a fun night out, but sometimes it can just turn sour quickly.
The support was absolutely fantastic. The Dr. Oscar, the surgeon, the whole community, we felt very much that it was a community and they were all pulling together to support us.
Declan was the second British tourist to be stabbed in the Turkish resort in just 2 weeks. His family say, despite their ordeal, they plan to return in the next year to thank those who helped them cope. Nancy Cole, ITV News, Leicester.
The time is coming up to 12 minutes past 6. You're watching ITV News Central. Still to come. Back to the classroom for the next part of our series looking at the life of a head teacher.